Did you think Facebook was going to be a company when you started?
I built the first version of Facebook because it's something that my friends and I wanted to use at Harvard, a directory and a way to connect with the other people around us. And I didn't think at all that it was going to be a company. I remember very specifically the night that we launched the first version. I went out to get pizza with a couple of my friends who now work here, and I remember really clearly we were talking about how one day we thought that someone was going to build a community like this for the world, and that would be some company, but it clearly wasn't going to be us. I mean, it wasn't even.
It didn't even occur.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't even an option that we considered that it might be us. I mean, we just weren't focused on building a company back then. We were just building something that we thought would be useful at our school. It was a couple of years in,
okay,
right? And, we had 10 million people using the product at the time, right? So it wasn't as if it were obvious that we were going to succeed far beyond that. And that was the first point where we really had to look at the future and say, wow, is what we're going to build going to actually be so much more meaningful for this? And, that caused a lot of interesting conversations in the company and with our investors. And, at the end of that, Dustin and I just decided, no, we think that we can actually go connect more than just the 10 million people who are in schools. We can go beyond that and have this really be a successful thing. And we just had to go for it. But that was really stressful because a lot of people really thought that we should sell the company. And for a lot of folks who joined a startup, I feel like at that point I hadn't been very good about communicating that we were trying to go for this mission.
Yeah.
We just showed up every day and,
yeah,
and just kind of did what we thought was the right next thing to do. So for a lot of the folks who joined early on, they weren't really aligned with me, right? For them, they joined and, being able to sell a company for $1 billion after a couple of years was like a home run, right? And it is a home run, right?
Totally.
And that's, I think that's, I get that, but, I think that the fact that I didn't communicate very well about what we were trying to do caused this huge tension. And the part that was painful wasn't turning down the offer. It was the fact that after that, huge amounts of the company quit because they didn't believe in what we were doing, right? I mean, if you look at the management team that we had.
Did that whole management team leave?
The whole management team was gone within about a year after.
Speaking of growing, one thing I heard you say years ago is that one of the best things Facebook had done was invent the idea of a growth group. And so this is something now that I've heard a lot of founders ask about. Could you tell us, is that still something you recommend people running companies put in place and how Facebook's worked in the early days? So
making it so we could grow faster was, I think, the most important product feature that we ended up building for Facebook. And, the traditional approach to growing and marketing is, you have a communications group or you have a marketing team and you buy ads. And,
yeah,
I think that there's sometimes there's a place for that, especially when you're trying to communicate something and get a message out. But if you're actually trying to grow a product, I think often the best levers for doing that are within the product themselves and getting people in your community who enjoy what you're doing to evangelize that to their friends and getting that to happen efficiently as possible. So, there's no magic in the growth group that we built that other people can't replicate. It's just being very rigorous with data, investing in data infrastructure so that way you can process all these different experiments and learn what people are trying to tell you. And then go invest in engineering and actually trying to grow the community because I think that's the most important feature for a lot of networks.